Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had fun.
You took down the Johns Bros.
Christian and I played well. Actually, the funny thing is, the last time we played together was over in Mesa, where we lost first round. So we rebounded pretty well. But we almost lost to Tyler and Julian Arnold over at Dreamland. We lost the first game, won the second game, got down 6-0 in the third game, and I think we won like 11-7. We were on a roll after the side change in that one, and sort of kept that momentum going. We go right from Dreamland to over to back to the main site because it had dried up, and then we played the Johns Brothers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, honestly, we had Colin on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we've talked a few different times about the type of game that it takes to.
We've literally diagrammed it.
We have. I diagrammed it, and we did our best job of implementing that. And really, I think the biggest part of that strategy is pulling Ben out wide. Right, to open up the court a little bit more and having somebody who can attack from the wing on Colin, right? So from the outside backhand corner of the kitchen, you either need to go at Colin or go pretty wide to Ben. Christian does a really good job of that by running around and hitting his forehand. I do a good job of it by rolling my backhand, and so that just sort of spreads the court a little bit more. And obviously, like, I'm not saying like, yeah, we cracked the Ben and Colin code whatsoever. No, they did not play their best. We played unbelievably. Like, we played at our ceiling and they weren't, right? So they didn't execute as well as they normally do. We executed as well as we ever could, right? So I'm not saying that we cracked the code, but I do think that like the general strategy was good and a ton of things went our way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you guys were playing pretty confidently though. It didn't look like. Sometimes when they lose, it's like you can tell like their attitude's off. They're kind of like, it looks like they don't even want to be there. It seemed like they were pretty into the match. You guys were playing confidently. You weren't afraid to pull the trigger. Your resets were unbelievable. It was a good match overall. So after you win that, do you and Christian, are you guys like texting like, should we play together more? Or is it like, good win, but...
I think after something like that, normally people have their partners set up for a little while. I really don't like the idea of dropping people. Like I personally think if you make a commitment to play with somebody, like honor that and do your thing with, like, if I wanted to play with Christian for the rest of the year, like I'm going to honor my commitments to play with Travis, with DJ, with all those people. And then I'll schedule more with Christian later. Right. There's always another tournament. So I don't like, no matter how well you play with somebody, I don't like the idea of dropping partners.
Yeah.
It's also part of the reason why I don't go and commit 18 months with somebody. Right. Like, I'm also not a huge fan of that. So, yeah, we want to play some more tournaments together in due time. So I think we're probably looking at May, June onwards. But also, he played really well with Thomas a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
If Riley isn't playing if Riley isn't playing PPAs, then Christian could play with either Thomas or I.
Right.
Right.
Were you guys playing straight up?
Yeah, for the most part. Occasionally we would stack if we just lost a few points in a row, just to give a different look. If we got stagnant one way or another, we would switch it up, but we really pretty much played straight up.
Yeah, I bet part of it was like they just didn't have a game plan for you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, our game plan was use the reptile brain and cause chaos.
Yeah.
And we stuck to it.
Right. Okay, you had 4 match points. Was there a little voice in the back of your head like, God damn it, we're going to let this slip and they're going to come back? And that's all I would be thinking.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, there is no team better at, like, escaping death than that team, right? How many times have they been in these close matches where they've saved championship points, match points, that type of stuff? So yeah, 100%. But we were still swinging away and playing confidently, and we made it happen. So yeah, it would be impossible to not be like, oh man, are they going to come back? Like,
Right.
Because they just have such a great track record of doing it.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're playing really well right now? This is not good for our pros versus 5-0s this week, by the way.
We'll have to handicap us a little bit more.
Well, I want to ask about one thing. So, game 2, it's 8-5. Colin hits kind of like you hit toward Colin's hip. He kind of scoops it, and it does kind of look a little odd, but you wanted it to be called for a carry. So, what happened there? Did you look back to watch that again?
No, I didn't. But basically my thought process was I was just trying to kind of learn about this carry rule and how they're actually going to enforce it. I kind of doubted that they were going to change anything. The referee said that they didn't see a double hit, which I think it was clearly a double hit. Like the ball did change directions. I don't think anybody could argue that. It was going one direction and then went another. Now, was it hit a third time and that's a carry? Probably not, but I don't really understand this rule, and I have reached out to a couple of referees. I did talk to a couple of people on site. A carry
afterward, you mean?
Yeah. A carry is when you basically sort of have that slingshot effect on a shot.
That's what it looked like to me, not a double hit.
It's what I thought it was possibly.
Yeah,
and that should be. If it's a carry, it should be a fault, essentially. I don't think it's an enforceable rule to see in real time. But really, I kind of wanted to just have that like conversation and actually have an example where we can talk about it with the referee. And also, like, I think they had a little bit of momentum at that time. It served as a timeout too. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the right call was there. They said that it wasn't a carry. That could be correct, but also I just kind of wanted clarification on this rule because it's very, very ambiguous and difficult to enforce.
Yeah,
I think what I've heard is this is mostly to prevent the egregious ones. You remember when that one highlight where Pesa and Ryan Sherry were playing? And Pesa goes down and like tracks down a lob and like scoops it from behind him and flings it back.
Yeah.
I think that's what this carry rule is supposed to be sort of preventing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible to call a carry in one of those quick hands exchanges.
Right.
Yeah. I think that there are probably examples of where a carry occurs, like possibly the one where we were in that match with Colin, but I don't think it's possible to really call that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically just doubled as a timeout too.
Got it. Okay. Meet your new favorite playing partner, Chuck. The Gamma Chuck Pickleball is a game changer. With 38 holes and a symmetrical pattern, Chuck ensures a true flight every time you play. It's designed to withstand extreme outdoor temperatures, guaranteeing durability without warping or cracking. Without warping. Grab your Chuck load today at gammasports.com. You can use code DINK10 for 10% off your order. That's all caps DINK10 for 10% off your order at gammasports.com.
Yeah.